So Aase Højlund Nielsen is from the project Desire, which is another one of our lighthouse projects that have managed out of Denmark. Am I correct to say so? So please welcome Aase. Thank you so much.
We need to check this is it. So I'm going to present to you designing the irresistible circular society. And it to see it. Yeah. Okay. So what we aim for in our project is to have a new vision for the built environment. It's really about creating a learning system, the sacred creative learning community, and we aim for a future where sustainable or sustainability become the attractive choice, so attractive that it's barely not a choice. That's what we put into the concept of irresistibility, even though we are still discussing what do we mean by irresistibility. But irresistibility is in all concept, let's say, or one of the core concepts in now. We have 3 objectives, and one is to create a learning environment. That's the most important one, but do it through 8 different sites where we work with principles we define at the moment, different tools, toolkits, and where we will have different activities taking place, experimenting with these principles, with these toolkits, to create this new vision for the building. So we deliver a learning environment. We also deliver a digital learning hub, and we deliver the different lighthouse demonstrators, you could say, with the 8 different sites. And then, of course, also a scaling framework, because it doesn't only work within the different 8 sites that we collaborating with them and who are involved in this project, but it needs to be scaled both to more sites, but also if we go deeper in the sense that what we will manage to reach in the period we work with, these 2 years we have for our project, will only be, it's perhaps a bit more than scratching the surface, but we will achieve some experiences, some learnings that could be taken much further and much deeper. Like all of these projects, we are also based on the co-creation, co-designing processes, where we work based on these different tools that are provided by some of our partners. It's, for instance, with the Technical Milano, which is a key partner in setting the burden and assessment framework. There's also the Danish Design Center that apply design methods and a design approach. There are different activities. It's also the University of Aalborg, which has an institute working with design methods and who are deeply or directly involved in the different activities going on at the different sites. And then as a 4th university or 3rd university actually, the Danish Technical University, which is responsible for the digital learning platform as such. And beyond that, we have different other organizations working with design methods in their approach on a daily basis. Of the 8 sites, 3 of them are located in Denmark, and the Danish sites will be where we have the focus. This is where we will be going deeper than in the other or non-Danish sites. But each of these sites, both those in Denmark, but also those in European or other European countries, are related to each their theme. The theme you can see on the site is creating social inclusive housing, which is quite clear what it is. It's about including working with a participatory approach, and we talk about circular transformation of social housing. And in Danish sites, it's Aase Højlund in Høje-Taastrup. I know that Høje-Taastrup is also involved in the Eyes, Parts and Hands project, so there's some correlation there that we should be aware of. But Aase Højlund is relating to the creating social and inclusive housing theme. Second theme is reconciling cities with nature, which is very much about how can we apply a multi-species perspective in sort of breaking down the barriers between cities and nature, or include nature as a perspective when we're talking about urban transformation. And Højlund is the Danish site that connects with that theme. And I would go a bit deeper into these three sites of it later, just as an introduction. And then finally, the third theme is transforming from symbiotic relationships. I don't know if you know Kalundborg and the industrial symbiosis that has been there since the 1970s, where waste flow from the industry is becoming resource and value for the rest of the city. And Kalundborg is our third Danish site, and there we will be using this kind of industrial symbiosis as inspiration for urban transformation in a sort of bigger sense. The European sites are here. It's not just mirroring the Danish sites. They are also having demonstration activities of themselves. And this is where we can use the learning through interaction and learning peer-to-peer learning, because each of these sites will learn from each other. It will be the Danish sites that would sort of go a bit deeper, but the activities taking place at least 3 or 5 different sites would be inspired from what is going on in Denmark, but also inspired back to what is going on in Denmark. So we are really trying to set up a European party where we learn what we're doing in Copenhagen. Peer-to-peer learning activities and learning through interaction. But back to this concept, irresistibility. And I know the picture is really bad, but the main thing is here, this path. And the English word for such a path, as you know, in NN context, is a desire path. This is a shortcut that is the attractive way forward. This is something you could choose. Instead of going through here, of course, choosing the shortcut of the desire. And this is what inspires us. This is a metaphor that we'll be using in our passage. Where are the desire paths in order to create the irresistible circular society? We need to find where are the attractive paths forward. But it's also something we're still discussing. What is irresistibility? How can we understand irresistibility in the context of we're working with? Another key element in our project is the desire principles. They are being developed at the moment while we are talking. They will be ready a couple of months at least in the first version, because then the different sites will take the principles and transform them into concrete activities and learn from this, adapt the principles and so on. But we're also discussing what is the principle in our context. And I've just found a definition. It's not the one that we necessarily will be using, but it does contain some of the elements that are important. For instance, that it's about concrete contexts. How do we work very context specific? It's also about attitude and behavior. This project is about how can we change behavior of those working on about the transformation in different contexts. It's also about consciously follow a principle or a basic rule that is also mentioned here. But the understanding of the principle in our context will be discussed throughout the project. It's not something that is defined in the very beginning. So it's really a learning project with going on here. I just present to you 2 examples of principles as they function here, but this is still an early stage. One is that we embrace nature as much as a stakeholder. Could be one principle we would work with. And imagine you have a round table discussion or a dialogue about how can we transform an urban area. If you have as a principle, you should embrace nature as stakeholder. How would you do it? Could that be, for instance, to have the forest that is an important stakeholder be incorporated through an organization? Could it be that if you, for instance, consider the flatness or the bees as important stakeholders, to include them through an artist, to have an artist to represent this specific stakeholder. How do we make the invisible visible in the context? How do we create a multi-species perspective in what we do? That's just one example. Another one is this one: we nurture a sense of belonging. And you all remember, I'm sure you do, that the smell of bread, what it gives you, it does sort of startle some memories of belonging, some feeling of hopelessness. Can we use our senses? Can we use the taste or feeling to create this sense of belonging so that we feel included, we feel involved in order to change and transform our urban areas where we live, and we're about to change this. So coming back to the Danish science, this is where you know, and you will know this kind of areas for your own proximity where you live. It's a social housing area. And in Denmark, we have a divide where we need to change these areas because, well, I'm a bit ashamed to mention it, but we call it the ghetto plan, where they work on sort of changing the ethnic and authority setup of the inhabitants living in these areas. And this area, they have decided in order to get or change their role or their position in the ghetto plan to once demolish some of the buildings or use them for creating other buildings, and to use some of this building material to create an outdoor area where the aspect or the point in the design is to make this outdoor area so attractive, so irresistible that it accounts an obvious choice to move to better Herborg. So how can we use the desired principles, the approach, the vision that we work on in changing this area? This is one of our ambitions. Then Kalundborg, I mentioned before, the industrial symbiosis. The industrial symbiosis that has been in place here since the 1970s. You see, the medieval town that was here, and then you have the huge industrial area. Novozymes is one of them, a huge international company. And the Royal Danish Academy of Design and Architecture in Copenhagen have been requested by the Danish government to establish a campus in Kalundborg. And then want to use this industrial symbiosis as an inspiration for how can we develop not just the campus, but how can we, by developing the campus, also contribute to developing the city? How can we name this an urban transformation project that goes beyond establishing a new campus, also involves the citizens and the municipality and the industry as well? Because establishing a campus in Kalundborg is not just in addition to decentralizing the educational institution. It's also about providing the industry with new employees to create development in an area of Denmark where development is not on the top of the agenda. One, it is on the top of the agenda, but it's quite challenging to create development there. And the main aspect here, what they want to do is actually to involve the students in designing and developing this urban transformation. So it's not something that will be done by the municipality and the teachers, the professors at the university, but also by the student. They will be developing their own education through concrete and directly interactions with the city, using some of the principles of redevelopment in creating a so codified area called the tide in urban Switzerland. And then the last Danish site, the third deepest site is here. As you see, it's just a construction site. Right now, it's a big old picture, but right now they are building more. You start to different housing that is going to replace the buildings we instruct right now quickly. But the most important about this site is that it's based on a collaboration with an artist and a big construction company. Madeleine, she's an artist. She's working together with NCC, one of the bigger construction companies in the Nordic countries, about a project with this word, an activity called Sensi, but being of place, through transformation processes, developing, constructing areas like this by really sensing the place, listening to it. She's talking about listening to the sea, listening to what is there, what are the birds, what are the plants, what are the living lives, not just the human lives, but also the multi-species lives. Yeah. There at Herlev, that is asphalt site that we have there. And they are doing it by introducing what they call the gardener caretaker, an artist, or actually more artists, that will be present in the area to open up dialogues about how can we develop this area to become irresistible in the sense of both being inclusive, sustainable, and of course alternative. So after 2 years, we will be able to present some principles that are rooted in our vision of designing a new vision for the built environment, a toolkit based on the different tools that we're using, and also some of the tangible transformation at these different sites. And then a digital learning hub that connects awesome. We connect all the different learnings and insights and the toolkit and so on, and principles, courses that may be developed through activities. And then also, of course, the framework. So, well, I haven't been talking much about the partners, but they're here, and it's a quick mix between universities and different local stakeholders. We have 2 municipalities involved as well. One is Riga City Council, and one is the city of Turin. But otherwise, this is also an important project for us to establish contact with municipalities and city governments and regional governments to take this further. I think this was what I just.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.